cool. Blab is pretty cool. So welcome. It's Whiskey Friday. Having a glass of whiskey, talking business, and today we are going to talk about how to sell without being salesy. I'm going to welcome Curtis as well. Curtis is going to join us.
Awesome!
Money. We got a bunch of people that are on there. So welcome to. I've got Curtis. Welcome to Sally, who's in there. And so Curtis is I'm going to give him props while he's getting things sorted. I'm going to give you props. So if you like anything that you hear, Curtis.
Hey,
what's going on, buddy?
Hey, brother. And Nicole, good. Yeah, everything's good.
Cool, man.
Make sure all my equipment's set up properly. It's my first time on Blab. So.
Blab's cool. This is week 4. And so welcome to everybody that's joined us. We got, I think, 5 people on here just checking it out. And now, this is the 4th week. We're just kind of seeing what happens, see how it goes. And it's been a blast. Right, Nicole? You'd say it's pretty cool?
Oh my God, it's been so much fun. And the people who come on here that we're meeting from the States and from Canada, it's so interesting to hear their stories.
Totally. So, Curtis, this is your first time blabbing with us. Why don't you just sort of introduce yourself, tell us what you're up to and why you're here and what we can expect from your shenanigans today.
Oh, my shenanigans. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of have one of those philosophies that my dad kind of taught me. It's better for you to sit there and quietly and everybody think you're an idiot than open up your mouth and prove it. So I'll probably be a little bit more quieter and listening, like giving a lot of loving support through the whole process. But I got lots to learn. My wife and I own a hair salon called Design House. It's in Victoria. I do the marketing promotions for that. I am a retired Navy officer and love just the social aspect of supporting the community. And so my passion is supporting local business. So I sit on a board with Joe for the Young Entrepreneur Society, which gives me an opportunity to be able to do that and go around town and meet new businesses and tell them, that there's ways for people to promote their business while they're still doing their passion. And that's always very difficult for business owners to be able to do. And working on a few other kind of international projects, lots to do with sustainability, eco-friendly, but and then my own kind of personal spiritual development action. But so nothing too exciting, but that's what I'm up to.
Cool. One thing I will share about Curtis as well is Curtis and I have we've known each other for a while. We have really cool discussions about business and spirituality and what it means to sort of be holistic in everything that you're doing, which is a really kind of like we get into some really cool conversations around that. And I really always admire sort of your take on this stuff. I know for me, like in the world that I live in, which is all sales, man, we just work on helping people sell and being more authentic. So we get into some pretty cool discussions around that. And that's kind of what we wanted to look at today is how can you be authentic? How can you do all, get more customers without being like a marketing douchebag, right? So that's kind of the topic for today. And I hope that, people are going to join us as we go. And that's kind of how it goes. So Curtis, you haven't joined us before, but these are just kind of like, we're just chilling out, having fun, sit around, chat, drink some whiskey. That's about it.
Sweet. Well, I'm on a wild rose cleanse, so I'm going to be drinking water today, but next week I'll be on scotch for sure.
You can color it, throw like a tea bag in there or something and just pretend. A full carafe of whiskey.
That's a good idea.
You know what? We got, my girlfriend bought us at her office. They were switching espresso makers. And so the other day she brought home their like a really nice espresso maker with like the milk frother and all that. And it was awesome because on Thursdays, I have like a 7 a.m. Call with a team, a company that I work with out of like Winnipeg. And so 7 a.m. bright and early. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to try this espresso maker. And I fell into that trap. I had like 3 of them before noon. Oh man, I was recording videos for my website, like 20-minute videos in like 3 minutes. It was great. So now I got to put it in the editing software and like space it out. So
slow it down a little bit.
So that's
awesome.
It should probably be about like mid-range. It should be good. No espresso for me. So I'm going to throw it to Nicole. I just like throwing you on the spot because it's fun for me. The topic around, selling without being salesy, that is what we said. Yeah, it's how do you sell without being salesy. Sort of, you've been on this bit of a journey this past year of, going and getting clients and just, knowing you have to grow your business, but not wanting to feel like you're out there just like acting like all these people trying to sell you stuff. So maybe talk about sort of that journey for you, is how you've been able to go and get more clients and stop thinking about the money so much. Yeah,
it has been, it has been quite the journey, because when you first start a business, what you're mostly thinking about is, how am I going to pay my bills? And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but that's a common concern. And as soon as you get in that mindset of, I just need to take whatever I can to get the job, I need to, I kind of will go out of my comfort zone a little bit. Maybe if I want to get the job, all of these factors that come into play are really not going to help your business. And it's really easy to get caught up in that whole mindset and become the employee again to a whole bunch of different people. Now, instead of having your own business and being an owner and doing some amazing things and helping some great people, what you end up doing is just working a ton of jobs. You're not making great money. You're not feeling in control. And, that whole money mindset is, well, I have to keep doing this, even though I'm not happy. I don't know why people want to do this anymore, because this isn't what I thought it would be. And that's really all a mindset. And so as soon as you just take a step back and you start to think, I'm not an employee, I'm an owner of a business. Yeah. I'm a consultant. I'm not here to just do work. I'm here to help you build your business. And these are the ways I do that. And this is how I work. And this is how I feel you can give value, and totally take that money part out of it and totally take that desperation out of it. Then you really start to see more of a connection with your clients, with your prospects. People start to see you in a different light and start to have a different kind of respect for who you are as a business person. And as funny as it is, the sales kind of just follow.
Yeah.
So throughout this year, I've really changed that mindset, and the self-awareness, practicing the self-awareness, practicing the listening and understanding how I really offer value to clients really comes back into, well, now I'm getting referrals because people like working with me and people like what I'm doing with them. And it's not just pushing, oh, well, I need to pay my phone bill and I had all these long distance calls. So how am I going to make an extra $300? And then it's, oh no, now I need to make a car payment. How am I going to, and it totally takes away any kind of respect and credibility you have as an owner once you start getting into that mindset. So
cool. I like, good answer. Look at you. Yeah, you know what's I met with after a networking event we did about a month and a bit ago. This girl was walking her dog, and she might end up joining us on this call. But we just kind of chatted, and she was like, "What are you guys doing? What's this event about?" We told her, so we ended up finally going for coffee yesterday. And she's a coach. And so we got into this really cool conversation about, coaching and about consulting and all this. And the challenge that coaches have is, it's almost like we see a lot of, I'm going to shut down Facebook so I don't get a bunch of beeps here. It's like we see a lot of coaches who are just amazing at what they do, yet are struggling to pay their bills. A lot of really great businesses that are just so awesome, but nobody knows about them. And when you ask them, what do they do? They're almost embarrassed to tell you, because they don't want to sell to you. And so when I, especially I know Curtis and I, we've talked, a good friend of mine was my spiritual coach for a number of years. And I did some business work with him. We started exchanging some services. And I just remember when we first started chatting about business, and I was asking, what do you do? What's your business? And he was like, well, I'm kind of like a lifestyle consultant. And he was hiding around the fact that he was doing spiritual coaching. And so it dawned on me, I'm like, nobody wants an insecure spiritual coach. Nobody wants an insecure coach, but it's not that they're insecure about what they do. They want to offer this service for free because they have this this negative connotation about what business is and what selling is. And the whole idea, I think Curtis and I talked about this last time, is if you don't get people to buy your service, you're really doing them a disservice. People need help making decisions. And so we talked about that, me and this girl, and I just said, if you've got a service and you're helping people move from one reality to another reality, you have to associate some value to that. But I see a lot of coaches, like most of their clients are other coaches because they're afraid of getting like real clients. So they're just sort of this black hole of coaching each other, and it feels good. And I see that when we do a lot of like networking events, we go to different groups, and it ends up becoming like group therapy of people just like, it's really hard and we don't want to sell to each other. So everybody, especially in Canada, everybody's really polite, right? So, that selling is not about like manipulation or hustling or all the stuff that people hear about, but it's one of like the last things that people learn about. And most of the time businesses fail because they didn't put the time and effort into learning how to sell. And so they have these great products and services and they have to go and get a job. And so that's kind of what we ended up talking about. So I'll probably share some of those ideas today about sort of the process of selling and how to make it really easy, make it effortless, and really help people buy from you. It's really simple. As long as the stuff you're selling isn't garbage and you're not brutal, like people want to buy your stuff, right? So that's kind of what we're going to get into, and that's how I want to sort of preface it there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Curtis, what do you think there, man? Okay, I can't hear you. Turn on your microphone.
I was being nice by keeping it muted, and then here this whole time I'm just like finally jump in. Yeah, that's a big topic. I'm going to learn a lot.
Cool.
This is massive things. I think it transcends just business. I think it does. How your buying behavior and how you sell or how you view selling. Transcends into your personal and in how you view yourself and how you think others view you. This gets into self-esteem. This gets into self-image and self-concept. This is really good topics, and I think that this is in my definition of spirituality, when you take any topic and then you transcend it into something more than it is just in the face value, and then you recognize how that impacts you, heart center, that kind of stuff. That's beautiful. Love it.
Cool, man. And for anybody that there's a big difference when you are starting your business and you're sort of like a freelancer, like Nicole is, she's a freelancer and she's out promoting her stuff. So she's got the ownership mentality because she owns the business. But when you start, I work with a lot of companies that are starting to poise to scale and grow, and the owner needs to sort of step out of their own way, right? I coined this new phrase called "mind your business." It's my cool like double-edged sword, right? But we really, as we start to grow, we want to bring on sales. We want people to be able to celebrate that value and that culture. And as an owner, you learn the hard way how to sell, how to promote, what is exciting about your business, and you think strategically about what the best options are for your clients. And then when you start to bring on staff and salespeople, it feels like they should just naturally do the same way you will, but their conversions are lower. They don't have that mindset. They're kind of hesitant to sell. And so, or they might be the consummate salesperson who goes out and is hustling, but it feels icky the way they're doing it. So what you're trying to do is find somebody that's in that sweet spot that thinks like an owner and that represents you well. And that's really hard to do. And it's really hard to train. Right. And I heard something yesterday. Somebody said that most people are self-taught and they have the worst teacher. Right. So it's and that's what I see a lot for sales is there's such a misconception about what it is. It's not about tricks. It's not about manipulation. It's just about if you have something valuable, and it would go back to the beginning of time. It used to be easy because if Curtis, I like that stick you've got in the background. If you like my painting, then we just say, hey, let's trade that. Right. It was just very simple. It was just a direct exchange. And then, way back in the days, they invented this stuff called currency, which then now I say, okay, I know you want my painting. I don't necessarily want that stick. So we create something in the middle that we can exchange it for that represents that value. And so then we just say, okay, what's that value worth? And since then, people have just really got it screwed up, man. It's just they've given so much weight to money and what it represents, and they're going after money all the time. And we have this weird association with it, which we shouldn't have. It really is you have something valuable, help other people, first of all, see that make sure it's valuable, help other people see its value, and just explain to them how they can get it. And if you can't help them see the difference between where they're at and where they want to go, then that's really on you. And so that's a lot of the work that I do is helping people just really understand what their stuff is worth. And when I ask people, like this girl yesterday, I said, so what is it? Why you? What do you do? And people just stumble over their words. They're like, well, it's kind of, sometimes. I'm like, well, who's it for? Well, it's for anybody. I'm like, okay, good. So if I'm going to go introduce you to somebody, I was just like, hey, anybody, you should get her stuff. Like, it's really hard to do a referral. So you have to think in that aspect, like, why you, what do you offer? Who's it for? Get clear on that before you even start to go and try and sell it to people, right?
Yeah, and especially if you don't know what you're offering, how are you going to be able to give them a price without stuttering over that too? And that's a really hard concept for a lot of people when you're saying, okay, well, that sounds really great. How much is it going to cost? And I say, 5,000? A question mark at the end. Then what they're going to say, well, if you're not confident in what you're charging, then why should I be confident in paying you that? Is it because you don't think the value is there?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. It's like it's the last thing that people think about. And so this girl, like I said, was talking. She said she went through all of this coaching training, all of this stuff, worked with coaches, worked with business consultants. And then the last thing they talked about is, okay, now go get customers. Well, how do I do that? And they said, well, okay, just follow this script or just do these 3 things. And all of a sudden, all of the advice that she was getting from consulting and coaching, it kind of shattered because all of a sudden it felt like it was icky. It felt weird. It didn't feel natural. And so when we talked yesterday, she was like, this is totally normal. Like, it should be normal. When I talk to people about selling, it's like they either want it or they don't. And there's no association I don't have any association with price. I don't care if I do care if they buy, but it doesn't represent me. It's not a judgment of my performance or my worth as a person. If they don't want it, they don't want it. It's like if you ask somebody to buy something from you and they don't want it, it's like if I offered you a piece of gum. And he said, no, thanks. I'm like, okay, cool. It doesn't hurt my feelings, right? It's just part of the natural course of doing business that not everybody's going to buy from you. But if you only have one proposal out there, you only have one potential customer, yeah, you're freaked out. So all you can do is just get a bunch of people in a pipeline that kind of are interested, and you just move them forward stage after stage. And that's all it really is, right? Just have enough people that you just have that one customer that give you $1, and you just repeat that and just grow and scale. But people got it screwed up, man. They've got it twisted about what selling is. And so anybody that's joined I've seen a couple people join on the side. If you have comments, I got Steven, what's going on, man? If you've got comments, questions, I think you can put questions in here and comments if you want to specific say something. Or if you want to join, we got a seat open. Just don't be weird. Join the call, right? Yeah. And Nicole, you touched on something too, is just sort of this, the idea of price confidence and just being able to, I remember we talked about that before you ask anybody for price, you got to be able to say it convincingly to yourself in the mirror. Maybe go into that a little bit about how sort of you've been able to raise some of your prices and just forget about worrying about that.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first started, it was really hard to actually, I was so worried about getting that actual job and, are they going to see the value in it? And it was like, okay, well, if I don't think it's worth that, then why am I charging them that?
Yeah.
And that comes back to the whole mindset, the self-awareness. What am I able to do for you? And what kind of value are you getting out of that? And some of that you touched on as far as knowing what it is that you're offering. That was a big key. That's a key component, because if you don't know what you're offering, how are you going to price it?
Yeah.
And so yeah, the big part was, so if I wanted to make more money and I don't think that I can give those services, I'm never going to be able to confidently say this is how much it's going to be. But then, I started looking at what I was able to do, what I was able to offer, and looking at, it's not about just the hours that you're putting in, because if you're just doing it based on hours, you're an employee.
Yeah.
Like, you can pay me $25 an hour and I can be your part-time employee to do these things, but that's not what I want, and that's not the value that I bring.
Totally.
So part of that was actually taking a good look at what it was I was offering. And then I got the opportunity for a big contract, and it was $60,000. And it was like, I know I talked to you beforehand, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say that. And you were like, no, like, are you, you're good with the project? And I was like, yeah, this might even not be enough. And, and I had to really get in my head that I'm good enough and I can do this. And this is going to be $60,000. And if you don't want it, then that's too bad, because I'm not working for free.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a big part, and I'm going to come back to the self-awareness thing, because that's a huge piece in owning your own business, I think, and knowing how to get better and how to be better and how to differentiate yourself from the rest is knowing what you're capable of, knowing, how you interact with people, if you make them comfortable, if you make them uncomfortable, if you, are fidgety and nervous and you make them wonder, okay, does she actually have confidence in what she's saying? There's so many little pieces that come with it. Yeah. And it's just understanding as you're going through and meeting with each person, what am I comfortable with and what am I not? Well, if I'm not comfortable with this, then maybe I shouldn't be talking about that. Maybe that's not an area of my business that I want to develop. And that's why I think a lot of businesses evolve in a certain way and maybe a little bit different path than they originally thought. And it's because of, realizing what they're actually good at and what they're actually able to provide and what actually gets the most value for their customers.
Good. Look at you. You're rocking it, man. And you got that deal too, that 60K deal.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was awesome. I'm still working on some of that actually, but
if anybody likes 60K deals, bottom of Nicole's screen, you can give her props. So you can just I remember, man, the funny part is like, part of what you're saying as well is there's a great book I love called The Challenger Sale, and that was back in I think 2011. I had a call with a group yesterday, and I do a lot of work in education, and we were talking about sort of that first appointment process and that sales process of how to move somebody from this point of here to here. And all of I said, what are the challenges that you guys have? And these challenges are common for every business to say, well, what do you do with the people that are just shopping? What about the people that are looking for somebody else? What, are like shopping for somebody else? What about the people that, don't think they can afford it or blah, blah, blah. We went through all of these lists of things that are typically like objections that people work with. And we go back to like old school selling, which is, okay, how do we handle those objections? But man, it's not about that. What we spend an hour just talking about, the concept of your role in selling anything is to be an expert, is to be the one that knows more than the other person. Otherwise, what value do you really offer, right? And so their role is not to be somebody who helps them flip through a catalog and like a menu and just pick an offer, right? In your business, you're not just going to say, okay, well, let's pick what's best to fit for you. Otherwise, you're not needed in that conversation. Your job is to ask really just kick-ass questions and help uncover what that like current reality is and what's the pain that they're feeling, what's going on, and that where do they want to go with it, and what's the path in between. And that's what your role is before you start talking about your company or your product. So I always say there's 5 buying decisions in that order. They buy you, then they buy your company, your product, your price, and then time. But most of the time, the conversation starts at product and price, and we get caught in that like black hole of just answering questions. And that's not selling. That's really just being an order taker, and you're not needed. That's why a lot of businesses have online funnels, because salespeople are just taking orders, and it's more effective just to have those conversions. But to sell effectively, you need to influence decisions and help people get to those like aha moments. And I think I was telling you, remember that CNC Music Factory song, the things that make you go, right? That's what, when you get to that point in the sales conversation where you say the thing and they go, that's when you got them. That's when it's impactful. And they start to go, okay, rather than handling objections, we're trying to keep any resistance at bay from our primal instincts so that they don't go, this is dangerous. But then they start adding this thing called anticipated future regret, where they think, if I don't do this, am I going to regret it? Or if I do this, am I going to regret it? And so what you're doing is you're constantly battling those two things, and you're trying to get them to see and believe the same thing you believe. If you have happy customers, all you're trying to do is just show them what it would look like to be another happy customer. And I think this is where people really screw it up, and they really go into all this other crap that they don't need to be doing. And it's just having that conversation, man. It's just having like a real conversation, helping people move from one reality to the other. Yeah?
Yeah, and I think a good a point to make there is that, sometimes when you're finding out their pain points, that you might not be the solution. And that you have to, at that point, connect them with somebody who is. And it takes sometimes a lot of strength to say, oh, actually, I don't think I can give you the services that you need. And especially with marketing, like maybe you're not at the point, maybe marketing isn't your problem. Maybe you just have really bad front end staff, or maybe you have operational issues or whatever it is, right? And being able, the more you dig and find out what those issues are, then the more you're able to actually provide that solution. And being able to tell them that they're not, that you probably don't need what you think you need is, is a really strong owner mentality.
And you don't want the customers that don't fit the model for it, because if you have customers that you can't help and you take money from them, shame on you, right? And that's kind of the thought, is that, if you can help them, but if you can't, tell them as well. That's also how you build your reputation as an insightful salesperson or insightful business owner, where they're going to come to you first to ask you these questions, because they know you're not going to try and scam them into buying something, right? And so, Cody, what's going on? Welcome. Cody's the girl I was talking about. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. I think this idea, the old school idea of, the relationship selling, where, the 3 martini lunch or a whiskey on Friday, it's not that relationship selling is dead. It's that relationships you have to build relationships, but they're a byproduct of you doing kick-ass work for your customer, being able to help them see and get to that aha moment. So they're like, yeah, let's do this. And then you earn that relationship over time. And I think too many people try and go in and make friends with everybody and do all this stuff. It's like nobody needs more friends. Nobody needs more stuff to do, but they do need help solving problems. And I think that's where a lot of people mess it up. Curtis, unmute yourself. Jump in, man.
I did. Yeah. I see it as kind of the consultative selling process. People are coming to you just like they would a doctor. And if a doctor is writing out a prescription for you, you don't, discuss with him. Well, I might, but most people wouldn't, say, hey, why do you think I should have antibiotics? And, if you're informed, you want to be informed, that's great. Do that. Be an informed consumer, but at the same time, you wouldn't be like, well, I don't know if I'm going to take them this time. Maybe I'll think about it. You're going to him for a reason, and he would tell you that, okay, if you don't want my help, don't come back to me, because I'm here as a consultant for you, because you respect that I have this, degree and I have this experience, or I've treated you in the past. This is what I'm offering you. And if you accept that, then you move through that process. And I think, consultants, I think it's interesting topic, the philosophy between selling a product versus selling a service.
Totally.
And, and both at the same time, because, I think there's a lot of different philosophy and maybe a lot of self-projection into different things. If it's a product that you've made personally, like if it's the artwork that you painted behind you, Joe, if that was your artwork that you painted yourself, you would have a different type of, value associated to that, as opposed to somebody that maybe you're an art dealer and then you can just recognize good art, but you can sell it from a third party consultative selling process. So I think, the philosophy of selling yourself in a way takes it to the next level, because you don't have that divide, that comfortable cushion between rejection and acceptance. And I love that how you said it. You might it is about relationship sales, but you can end up having a good relationship with your doctor, but you don't necessarily go to a doctor because you're friends with them. And you might not want a doctor that you're friends with, because you usually have to tell them things that you don't want other people to know, right? So, but sometimes you need a professional distance, a respectful professional distance, for also to represent a little bit of the magic and mystery of the product and the service. Mm-hmm. And the psychology of it is beautiful, and we do buy a lot more in a product and in a service than just meets the eye. And I think that's what you're touching on. Absolutely.
And, it's funny. I've done a lot of work with like the history of selling, and we won't go into too much of that. But back in the 70s is when they invented the professional buyer for organizations, and they were just simply brought in to stop salespeople from manipulating them. And so this is where that distance, that gap, that buyer-seller disconnect really started to creep in, because people started to distrust manipulative sales tactics. And so even today, if you feel like you're getting sold to, your spidey sense starts tingling. And so the whole goal, and it's really hard if you're selling anything, if you have a business, if you're a salesperson, if you're a coach like Cody, and you're going out, you don't want to make people feel weird. You don't want to be the weirdo that's trying to sell them crap. but you still need to get paid, and you have this value. And if you don't get people to buy your thing, it doesn't exist. And so, when we started looking at how selling is today, there's a lot of research I've done on the distance between what sellers think people want and what buyers really want. And buyers just in general, just anybody buying. And there's such a disconnect between what sellers think are important and what buyers think are important. And there's one, I'm just trying to remember the numbers, but right now, like the drivers of customer loyalty, it's 53% is from the purchasing experience, the actual seller experience of being able to deal with somebody, being able to be, guided through this. And I know we talked a little bit about with like the salon. I mean, you guys have lots of products that you sell. You have high-end services for your salon. And it's almost like if you don't get your customers to know all the ways they can buy from you, they're going to leave and they're going to buy that thing somewhere else. So why wouldn't they buy it from you? Just because you didn't tell them, you didn't ask them, and you didn't make that purchasing experience something that they want to do. People are spending money all the time. We love to buy stuff, but we hate selling, right? Yeah. So it's really about, like, for you guys, I know, like, if I go in and get my hair cut, I'm going to want to have I need to have my hair just doesn't naturally do this like really cool stuff. Have some kind of product, and at some point I need to buy that product. It doesn't mean every time I go in and get my hair cut, I'm like, sell me a bunch of things. I don't have a lot of hair. But for a woman, you've got a bunch of product, right? And so, like said, be organic, 80% buy within 48 hours of salon service. That's perfect. And so, but if they don't buy from you, they're buying somewhere else. Oh, PhD student. I'm going to invite Sydney Shapiro in here, and just don't be weird. Just keep it clean. Here we go. Welcome. Who's this? Let's see. I love when people join.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Meet people. Sydney, what's up?
Oh, you're like an angel with a light behind you there.
All right. Halo.
Here we go. How you doing, bro? I was listening to what you guys had to say, and I had a question about my business. Maybe you can help me do some analysis.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, so I'm a PhD student. I do school stuff, but in my other life, to make ends meet, I sell electronic parts on eBay and Amazon. Specifically, I sell all the parts for all the iPhones, all the Samsungs, batteries, jazz like that. Okay. Now, the parts are generally generic, so there's nothing that separates me between anybody else except for price and customer service. So I'm like the only one really out there who, if you buy a part, no matter what, you'll be satisfied. You have a problem, you can send it back. I deal with a lot of stores, so I sell to stores across Canada and the States. And if there's any problems, I help them out. I talk to people. Now, I've tried like literally everything I could think of, from like email marketing to, calling people up and offering promotions and sending out Christmas cards. And it seems like the only thing that's ever actually worked is going through my database of clients. I have about 10,000 now, and being like, hey, you bought 20 screens from me. How about I'll sell them to you directly right now? I'll give you 10. And that seems to, I can form personal relationships, and people will text me on my phone to capture that lead. The problem is that because I'm selling sort of a generic product that, anybody can buy, the only difference, what happens when you buy it, is the quality actually there. And I've done my homework to make sure that, I'm not going to take a risk by selling a substandard product. So when I do that, and let's say I run out of stock, the customer's like, well, I'll just go back to eBay and find somebody else, so I don't really have that staying power. My two questions are, how do I keep the existing clients that I have happy, like, providing them, added value or something like that? And my other question is, how do I recruit new customers out of the pool that I'm already selling to?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's a very transactional sale as well. So you have to really do a lot of work to build long-term relationships. I like what I'm going to see what his name is here.
All biz, no bull.
All biz, no bull. I like this guy. Greg, there's his name. Good stuff, Greg. The big thing is, I remember years ago I went to a seminar, and it was a guy. He was talking about. He said, how many of you guys? He's like, if I'm selling tires, how many of you guys right now are looking to buy tires? And let's say 10 out of 100 said, yeah, I'll buy some tires. And he said, now if I go and talk to those people that need tires, I'll probably convert them, maybe 2 or 3 of them. So that's a 2%, 3% conversion. But when you reframe that question, say, how many of you guys have cars? How many of you guys are going to ever need tires? And now it's like 99% of them, except the one guy that took the bus, but maybe buys a car eventually. So my job is to be there and be the first choice when you do need it. I mean, if we look at, if we got everybody that's joined here, is I've got my phone, everybody's got a phone. I'm trying to think, lifetime value for your customer. I don't know if I'm ever going to need to buy 10 screens from you.
That's the
right?
thing, like, I'm selling simultaneously to two different markets. I'm selling retail to customers individually for parts, which is a huge pain in the ass to package, with low profit margins of a few cents per item, only because once some guy goes in there and buys 100 iPhone batteries, nobody who has an iPhone is going to buy 100 batteries at a time. That guy's in a store or a mall or a bunch of stores, and that guy's going to have the potential to buy 100 screens, which is worth 10 grand. So that's the kind of person that I want to find. And essentially, I'm doing eBay and Amazon as a loss leader in order to identify these stores to engage with me in business. Because if they're going to eBay, they could be going to anybody.
Yeah.
So what kind of stores are you typically selling to? Are these smaller stores, bigger retail? What are you looking at doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a supply issue as well. Like I've had some clients who are like, oh, I'll take 500 screens. I'm like, dude, I can't cover that. That's crazy. That's $1 million. So generally, I'm selling to like relatively small stores. My average sale is between $3,000 and $4,000 stores, and right now I'm doing like 20 to 30, maybe 40,000 a month in overall sales. The rest of it is made up. Like I'm selling probably about 1,000, maybe less, maybe like 800 or 900 items on eBay and Amazon per month, and the average sale price is probably $15. Like that's basically people buying individual ones, and I have that people buy. I start to look at trends and see like, oh, okay, this guy bought from me 80 times. There's no way that he has 80 different phones. He's a guy I should call, and I call him on the phone.
Yeah. Are you doing any outreach to businesses, or doing any I like what all biz no bull, going and doing like cold calling, or going and just stopping in and doing that, or are you just waiting for people to sort of put up their hand and buy?
The only way that I'm contacting people is people I've already sold to and know my products, and I'll just give them a call and be like, look, you guys are buying all this stuff. Just give me a call anytime you need something, and I'll sell to you.
Okay, sure. So here's what I'd say to you is like right now. One of the stats is that buyers are typically 60% of the way through the buying process before they engage with a supplier. And so if you wait for those buyers to get to that point where they're going to need to buy something, you're typically going to compete on price, and you're going to have to fight in this market where they're shopping around, and you become a commodity. You don't really become a strategic partner for them. And I love this name, all biz no bull. Boom. So that you need to go and say, okay, who are the kinds of people that would be ideal customers? And whether they're buying from you or not, you need to go and engage them. You need to get at them before they get to that 60% mark. Before they might not even know they have a problem. They might not even know that there's a solution for that problem and that you even exist. And if you don't go in there and talk to them at that stage, then they're going to maybe never feel that pain and never buy anyways. Right. If you go into a retailer, maybe there's people that don't even sell these products. If you go into retailers that sell these products, typically they have somebody that's trying to buy, and they're trying to get these at the right cost. If you go in and find some stores, even in your local area, that they don't even stock what you can offer, and you show them that if they can bring this in, it's a really easy sale based on the customers you do have. Here are the typical conversions we're getting. This is the kind of revenue you can get from stocking these kinds of products. Now you say, can I bring something in here? We split that revenue. Right. So now all of a sudden you can be a vendor like that, but you need to go into the marketplace and create demand, not wait for the demand to come to you. Does that make sense? He just froze. It's so good. He froze.
Wow. It's a magical power there, Joe.
That's it, man. So are you there, man? You keep freezing on me. So when you get back in, you can tell us. But that's what I suggest. Like I always, one of the books I love is Chet Holmes, The Ultimate Sales Machine. And a lot of people sort of reference these numbers. I don't know if they're numbers he gave, but when I do sort of seminars, they say that, I write down 3, 7, 30, 30, 30, right? And 3% of the market is actively trying to buy the thing that you have. Right? 7% is open. They're shopping for something like what you have, but they're kind of looking to see what options there are. And most of the time, those are the people that are putting up their hands and inquiring about what you have. And typically, you're going to compete on price and have to be in a very competitive space. But the next 30% are aware that they have a problem, maybe in the future. So they're thinking, I'm just shopping around. They may or may not inquire with you. And they're going to go out, they're going to look around for other options. And that next 30% is usually unaware that they have a problem, that there's a solution, that you exist. And most of those people think that they don't even need that. that it's for other people. Then the last 30% is no. But most of the time we end up waiting for that 3 to 10% to come to us and say, can I buy your stuff? And if we do that, we're running a very dangerous game in our sales business and our real business to be able to get the customers, because that middle 67% is where the money is being able to show somebody how to be able, through your questions, through your insights, for them to go, that's interesting. Tell me more. That's how you get more non-competitive deals, because it's not even out there for the market, and you get higher average customer value, because they're gonna want to spend from you because you're the expert, you're the resource. Now, whether you're selling electronic parts, salon services, marketing, or sales services, it doesn't matter. If you create the demand in the marketplace, the market will pay you dividends. And that's always what I work on with clients, no matter what size they're at. Large corporate clients, it's the same stuff. And small one-off consulting, like coaching services, it's the same shit, man. And so it's really about helping your market know that they've got a problem. From the salon side, I love that what you guys are talking about is, if I'm in the salon, I don't know any better. Why would I be the best person to think about what product to use in my hair? I'm just an idiot guy. So I'm going to go and I don't know, what do you, I'll go to the Walmart and pick spiky updo stuff, and then my hair looks stupid. But I go to the salon and the stylist's like, what are you putting in your hair? That doesn't work. Here's what makes your hair do what you want it to do. And for women, it's like exponentially greater. But if that person doesn't have that conversation with me, that's a disservice. Right? If they don't tell me how it actually works and how I can make the most, because part of what I do, they should be asking, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I speak to people, and sometimes I'm on camera or in front of a group. They're like, oh, so your style is important to you. I'm like, yeah. So don't make it look stupid, right? For anybody that's out in public, your stylists, your salon people should be, having, they're like your consultants. You're your style consultants for the people that are out there representing your brand. Because if the cut looks great right now and they go out, and then they can't make it look like that again because they're using stupid products, that's on the salon. Right? Yeah. That's a bad service.
And the relationship build on it too. Like, there's direct correlation on numbers between retention of being able for somebody in a relationship, in a sales relationship situation of a consultant, that if they're not buying from you in the RTS's retail to service dollars, so it's the ratio between the service you're giving and the amount of product that you're selling. If that's not at a 22% ratio in the salon industry anyways, you're actually losing people. You're not gaining relationships. You're not retaining the clients that you have. And so and that's what you're talking about, the disservice. If in a relationship situation, if you and I, Joe, were talking one day and you're like, you know what, man, my car broke down. I'm looking for an amazing truck because I need a little bit more room for the gear that I'm taking on my trade shows and stuff like that. And, and I just sit there and I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll keep my eyes open. It's awesome. But then you find out I'm selling my truck for like a really good deal, and I didn't even suggest it to you, because for some reason, obviously that's not considerate, it's inconsiderate, because I could have given you an option to fill a potential need in your life that had nothing to do with our relationship, saying, well, you're a friend and I don't sell to friends. So, even if you want what I want and it's a good deal, I don't do that because it might, interfere with our relationship. And that's when you start having, authenticity issues. Those are indicators.
Totally.
And that's what we think. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and I think especially talking about the business where you're in a specialized kind of niche market, like the values that you guys have in your salon with the living wall and the toxic-free
hair care line.
And all of that, the products that you use, there's a certain kind of person who's going to your salon looking for that. And you're going to immediately have that shared connection already because they're already into what you provide. And then from there, it can be really easy to build on that relationship because there's obvious values that are shared and obvious common interests. And so if you're unable to actually connect with the person in there, then when it's so easy, then truly those people are going to go, oh, well, that's not really what I thought it was, because I thought we had a lot in common. And people want to work with people they like, and people want to go back and refer people that they like, that they have a good time, that they totally agree as far as conversations go. And I think a lot of people miss that.
Yeah, and I'm not asking. Like it's such a weird thing. People don't ask or say, you know what? Isn't it the worst when you go to like a massage therapist and afterwards they just say, okay, well, thanks, see you later, and you're like, oh, are they not wanting? Are they firing me? But like, did I do something in the massage that's kind of weird that now like she doesn't want to massage me again or something? Like what's going on? Because if she's not saying, you know what, I want to see you again, or I need to see you again, and this is the step, this is how I see, filling a particular gap in your services or what you need in product, then you're kind of almost slighting them in a way. They're going to be like walking away like, oh shit, I don't even know if they want to see me again.
But I don't know what your friend's named Beehive Organic. He said you're weird, Curtis. That's why I'm gonna invite Simondo on. Just the rule. Just don't be weird and don't be like racist or sexist.
Or have anything against beards.
Yeah.
I got nothing against. I'm not racist. I'm not homophobic. I'm nothing. Everyone's
but you're British though. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I have a hard time with accents, man.
What's going on, man?
It's all good. I just saw the title of this, and it was, how you sell without being salesy. And it's something I work in video marketing, and I am not a salesman. And just saying that alone to a client, they go, I like this guy. Because they think it's not like the salesman who's trying to get all the money. And and it is true. I am not a salesman. I'm just passionate about what I do. And when I go off about it, I've got clients who say, oh, well, yeah, we definitely want it. But if I'd have been like, oh, how much money can I make out of these? And like do the whole Dr. Evil thing, they run a mile. And it's
how do you think I feel? Like I sell consulting services for sales, so I have like I'm the whole deal, man.
You're basically the devil.
But I would say, like, I'll let you finish your thought there. But the whole idea of selling is a bad thing. And my mission right now is to get people to remove that as a dirty word. And to get people to change their idea. And if you come out, if you feel awkward, I'm not saying you do, but if people feel awkward selling, that comes through. So however you say it, whatever you say, it's that energy. You sound right away, you sound like an authentic guy. So you're probably presenting authentically and you're having fun helping people with the video service. So yeah, keep going. I just wanted to say sales is not a bad word, man.
Yeah, no. And like because I've recently started working with a marketing firm. They like what we do and we've kind of partnered up with them, which is great. But I mean, the guy is he's like a genius at marketing. He is really, really good. And like we go into meetings and they're like 4 hours long, and I leave going, "Oh, my head is killing me." Be talking about funnels and talk about like queue lists and all this, and I'm like, "What?" But he said, next time you're telling someone your price, don't be apologetic. Because
totally.
What I would used to do is I'd be going into a company, going around saying, "Oh, we can do a promotional video." I'm like, "What sort of money it is?" And I go, "Oh, well, the thing is, there's cameras and there's audio, and I've got to be there." And he said, next time, don't blink an eye and just say it. And he said, double your price, just tell them what's your price. And I'm like, he's on crack. I'm not going to do that. But I did it, and the client was like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. I nearly fell over, but so it does work. But just being genuine, if you're good at doing something and you're genuine about it, then you'll do well. But if you haven't got a clue, like for instance, there was a guy who set up and he was like, I can do videos. He bought a camera. I don't think he knew how to take the lens cap off. And he's like, oh yeah, we can totally, do that and do this. And the reason I know about this guy is because the client that he got came to us and said, this video is an absolute disaster that they've made for us. Can you help us out? And we were like, well, yeah, but we did. We got it sorted out. So
that's the guy you doubled the price on, right?
No, I've got ethics. Can't do that.
That's good. I think Cole was kind of mentioning. There's one. I remember years ago. I had a call with a client yesterday, and I explained to them that we're building all of their CRM and all the tools and the follow up and all that fun jazz. And I just told them, years ago, I think because inherently I'm really lazy, I don't like doing things more than once. If something goes wrong one time, I don't want that to happen again. And from a sales standpoint, when I was in the middle, like when I was as a sales rep, we're selling education. And I remember I think it was because I was lazy. I was like, I don't want to have to keep explaining this thing over and over and over and have to convince every single person. So to be able to do that, somebody mentioned earlier, is about referrals. And my idea was if I can be the go-to person, not for the product or service, but for the conversation, the conversation about education. Or for you, the conversation about video. For Curtis, the conversation about salons or style, or Nicole for marketing. For me, now I'm in the conversation about how do we increase sales. I just want to be that person to say, hey, if you have this problem, have a conversation with me about that. Because everybody wants to know a guy or a girl. Because then they get, it's like Curtis said, it's like in your back pocket. You go, oh, I got a guy for that. I got a girl for that. Oh, you know who you need to meet? So-and-so. Because you know that person isn't going to sell your friend or sell your referral. They're going to say, hey, let's have a good conversation. And by the end of that, you determine if you're a good fit. You determine if you're going to say yes or no to them as a client. You don't need everybody as a customer, but you want everybody. But it's that conversation that needs to be happening. And just being able to, and that's why, like, for me, it worked really well, because people just eventually started coming in and say, hey, I heard you're the guy for this. Can we talk? That's way easier than cold marketing and prospecting and trying to convince everybody that you're legit, right?
Yeah. It's like when I go to these business network meetings, and they're not too bad, these ones, because they're in the evening. It's when people say, do you want to come to this network meeting? It's at 7 o'clock. And you go, yeah, that sounds great, after work. And then they say, no, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Go to them, and like the first few times I did them, it was just like, oh, I hated them, because I just felt like I was constantly pitching, and I'm like, I am not this person. You know, it's like the reason why I got out of, I used to film wedding videos for my crimes, and I've not done any crimes, so it was just unlucky. And I just go into this spiel about it, and I felt like, have you guys heard of the comedian, or ex-comedian Bill Hicks? He died many years ago. And he says part of his routine was like, hello, welcome to this, you know, bear with me while I put a fake smile on my fake face and plow through this shit one more time. And I was like, that was how I felt doing wedding, you know, when I used to do the wedding business and doing these networking meetings, because you just be like, talk to some, like, I found at those networking events, literally everyone is just selling, you know, no one is buying. So there's no point in giving me a business card, because I'm like, I'm not going to be interested in that. So my sort of strategy with networking events now is I just say, I'm looking for the best graphic designer I can find, or I'm looking for, and I'll say, I'm looking for this. And that way they kind of drop the guard a little bit and like, oh, there's this guy who makes videos. And that way they're like, oh, give me your card, rather than me go and take my card, get a video. It won't be more than £2,000.
So, well, you know, and it's funny, we Curtis and I run a Young Entrepreneur Society group. We're on the board for that here. We have mixers all the time, and this is what we try and get people away from, is that, you know, people just show up and they say, what do you do? And then I go, blah, blah, blah. I vomit all my business crap on them, and I just wait. They're just waiting for their turn to jump in and do the same thing. We go home, and I got right here my stack of business cards. I'm like, look, I networked. And it's like, that's not networking. That's not doing anything. I don't even look at these things. And they're just sitting here. But that's what ends up happening. It's not real connection. So we're trying to undo that whole idea of like, we're not here to sell. You're here to network. You're trying to build, you know, figure out if you like people. So I really encourage people to do three-way introductions and just say, hey, if you know somebody, who you know, and just connecting people. As Nicole was saying, that flesh currency, that's what's important. And so if you're going out networking and you're just caught in that rut of like pitching your stuff, just get out of it. It's like, it's just like, if something's heavy, just drop it. And so, you know, that's, I like All Biz Nobel. He keeps throwing some cool ideas out here. Verbal diarrhea. You know, people do want what you have. It's your duty to help them. It's that, I remember that Chet Holmes saying, it's your moral obligation to help people buy the thing you have. And the weak salespeople are the ones that are just saying, okay, well, think about it. Let me know. I think that's BS. When I look at people's like funnels and their CRM systems, we look at like 100 people in the system. Like we have no idea what's happening with these people because we just kind of left it up in the air. So now we got to go in and just see, where are they? They don't have to buy from you. It's like I said, if they don't want to come in, that's fine. Just get your numbers, know your people, know who's out there and who wants what you have and who doesn't. And that's fine, because there's no scarcity of customers in every market. Even if you live in a small little city and you don't think there's customers, there are people out there where you just adjust your offer, right? And so we got about 5 minutes here. So I want to just go around. I'm going to try and close on the dot here because we've been running late. The first time we did Whiskey Friday, we went 2 hours and I kept drinking whiskey. By the end of it, it was messy. So I'm going to keep it to an hour. But we'll go around the clock here with Nicole. And then is it Simon or Simondo?
Simon, but my friends call me Simondo. So
Simondo, I like it. So we'll go Nicole, Simondo, then Curtis, and we'll shut her down. And then there'll be a recording and all this. So go ahead, Nicole. Talk us your last final thoughts here.
One of the last things Samundo said was about how it's about asking what you want. And I think that's a huge point, is when you are going to network or when you're meeting people, it's not just about, blah, this is what I do. Blah, this is what I do. It's about, I'm looking for people like this, people who need social media training, who want to be online and who don't know how to set up the platforms or don't know what to post, specifics, so that when somebody is saying, oh, I need marketing, they go, oh, well, what kind of marketing? Oh, well, I don't know what social media is. And they say, I know a girl, and then it's easier to get those referrals. But if I just go, oh, I do marketing, they go, oh, okay, that's cool. Well, I do this. How are they ever going to refer somebody to me? And it's not being salesy. It's giving them an ask. It's saying, these are the kind of people I'm looking for. And if you meet anybody, let's connect. Let's have coffee, whatever that is. And it's not salesy. It's natural. It's genuine. And I think that the more you get into the habit of just being comfortable with your offer and getting comfortable with your ask, the better you'll do.
Very cool. Get comfortable with your ask, right? Nice ask. Samando, what's your final thought here before we shut her down?
After talking about the business networks, I've decided I would rather go on like 10 blind dates where I'm not sure what I'm going to get and go on one networking event. So it's like speed dating. I think the network events, except you're not trying to, she's not trying to get into your pants. You're trying to get business. You know what I mean? Which is harder.
That was a different Blab.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, and so I guess I'll just jump in and make my comment. I think that we touched on some really good topics through the whole conversation. I like how it organically went towards in networking events, and we talked a little bit about just purely sales of service, sales of product, all kinds of stuff. I think that we touched on some really good points, and all I can say about networking is network and going to network events. I don't even carry cards anymore to networking events. I make it so that if I'm memorable enough, they should remember me without a card. And they'll actually usually I'll say, I don't carry cards because I just don't, because I always find people will be looking past you instead of because they're looking for their next target. So yeah. I get them, they'll actually put me in their phone or schedule a meeting with me, a coffee, rather than me pass a card. Because it just doesn't work that way. And then the other is the consultative selling process and being able to just contribute to the social organism. If you're in this world just to fill it full of garbage and overpriced stuff that doesn't mean anything, then that can be your thing, and that's cool. But I'm not looking to hang out with those people. I'm not looking to do business with those kind of people. And if I meet somebody in a networking event, or I meet somebody online, or whatever it is, I am judging the authenticity of what they're talking about and how they're wanting to contribute to the social organism. Sure. So I think that's you get to a certain point where you start judging. I would say judging, because I think it's about working on your own authenticity. Once that's in place, all the other things will follow, and we touched on that a little bit throughout the whole talk. And thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for everybody contributing their time and their energy. This is all going to benefit us in an amazing way, and I want to put that out to all the people that are listening in too, rather than having contributed, because I'm sure they would have had a lot of awesome things to say, and this could have been a 24-hour Whiskey Friday instead of a 1-hour one. Yeah. But you know what? This is all going to be good energy. That now let's take this and invest it into an amazing week. So have an amazing week, guys.
Cool. And Curtis, and if anybody does network with Curtis, he does have a business card. It's just hidden in his beard. It's the emergency one. So, just his beard is his business card. But the funny thing about networking, you see a lot of people that they're just serial networkers, and they're going, and it's almost like group therapy. But you have to be able to incorporate all the different lead sources. So if you don't want to network, great, but you got to go and get customers somewhere. So if you're doing it online, doing it through workshops or webinars or networking, it's just about getting out there and getting people to know what you're doing. And so, for me, it's just, I always say, don't be a weirdo. Just go and be normal. Get people to like you, man. And And eventually, my goal. I used to have a game that I'd play in a networking event. I say, how long can I go before anybody knows what I do? Sometimes I go the whole event with nobody knowing what I do at all. And they're like, hey, we're setting up coffee meetings. We're ready to go. They go, by the way, what do you do? And I'm like, cool. That's what it means, because you're not your job. You're not what's that from Fight Club, right? You're not your job. You're not your title, right? It's who you are. People are going to do business with people they want to talk to. For me, for all of you guys, everybody needs your services, from marketing to sales consulting to video. I'm gonna reach out to you. We're gonna talk about some video stuff. And Curtis with salon services. Everybody needs that stuff. Yeah. And so you don't have to be the one selling to them right now. You want to be the one they think of when they're ready to buy the thing. And they come to you and say, hey, what do you think about this? That's the sales call. Now it's open season. Now you're having a real conversation, and maybe you're gonna get money out of them, maybe you won't. But I want to say, this is Whiskey Friends. We're doing this every week. This is the 4th week. Starting to get a little bit of a flow. And we keep it to an hour every week. At this time, I put a link on my site. I just created a little landing page if you want to make sure you get updates and stuff. There's replays on there. But anybody reach out to us, let us know how we can help, and any topics that you want to get into. And we will see you next Friday. Peace out.